Okay, I'm just having a look on Facebook Marketplace to see what timber pallets I can find sort of in my area, and I'm just scrolling through the Marketplace page here, and up the top here I've just typed in pallets or timber pallets just to see what I've got. At the number 6 I had on my list, the 6th place on my list I went to, and they had some pallets that I think will be suitable, so I loaded those up. Got almost a trailer full. Well, there we are, folks. I've been cutting away for just over an hour now, and I've emptied out my trailer over there. So I went through 6 pallets, and this is the result of 6 pallets of wood that I've managed to get out of it. And you can see that there's some that are shorter, some that are longer, depending on the size of the pallet. And also the wood itself changes a little bit. There's some lighter bits, and there's some darker bits. There's some newer looking bits, and there's some older looking bits. Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel and welcome to today's video. My name is Dave, and today I'm going to continue on in my garage project here, and I'll put the link in the video description for the first video that we did recently, and that was putting these rusty corrugated iron sheets on the wall, and we had all those done in the last video. Now in today's video what I want to do is get my recycled pallet timber up on the top part here on these walls. That's the aim of what I want to try and get done during this video, so we'll see how we go. Now to do that, I obviously can't just put the timber pallet wood directly onto those walls because they are steel, and that is the sheets to the outside of the shed. So what I'm going to do is I've got some pine which I've bought here, and I'm going to build a simple type of timber stud wall first, and this particular timber is just a H2 treated pine I got from my local hardware store. This is 70 millimeters across by 35 that way. I got this size and in pine because it's quite light, and I am conscious of the fact that I don't want to put a lot of weight up here. But I think the best thing is, as I build it, I'll sort of explain my reasoning of how I'm doing it and so forth. Now, once I've got my timber stud wall up, the next thing I'm going to put on there is these plywood sheeting. So what I've got here, these sheets are 2.4 meters by 1.2, and these are about 7 millimeters thick. So they're going to go on top of my stud wall, and then I'm going to attach my strips of recycled pallet timber onto the top of this. Anyway, that's the idea. I guess the next best thing is just to start, and I'll try and explain how I go through it. Okay, I've just laid my little stud wall out here on the floor just before I screw it all together. So I've got my base and my top plates here, and I've got my timber studs that I've placed in at 600mm centres. And my reasoning for that is that the plywood sheets I have are 1200 wide, so I'll have a sheet across those ones, a sheet across these ones, and a sheet across those ones. So that'll all fit in quite nicely. Now I'm just putting it together with some long screws here. These are an external galvanised screw, and I'm just going to put 2 of those in each of my studs, top and bottom. Okay, well I've just made my second frame up, if you like, here. I did the first one that was up here and really just replicated that one to make this second one that has to go up here. And that's what I'm trying to work out now, is actually how to get this up to there, and I'm only by myself today, so I'm not too sure how I can do it. I was going to try and lift it. I can sort of lift it. It's not too bad, but I've got to lift it up at a fair height, and I'm not too sure how I'm going to get it up there. I'm sort of thinking now that maybe I can use my mini excavator. Maybe I can put a tyre or something down the bottom here and then hook onto that and maybe slide it up the wall. Do you think that would work? Don't know. Anyway, we'll come up with something. I'm a little bit short on this one. These two frames are the same size. They're 3.6 metres long. However, this section of wall I have here is longer than 3.6. It's got to go up to there. So once this frame is actually up on the wall, what I'll do is I'll just make another couple of little sections here just to run it up to this edge of the door. And I was thinking about running my timber all the way across and into this corner, but the trouble is the timber's going to sit back in from here quite a bit, and it would mean that I would have to dress around all of this steel. So I think probably the easiest thing is just to run my corrugated iron and affix it to the front of these uprights and across the top of that top there, and that might just make it a little bit easier. So it means that the timber effect, if you like, will actually start from this side of the door and then run along the wall. Okay, so let's try and work out how to get this up there and get it attached. Right, so my plan I've come up with is I have a strap here that's on a ratchet up the top there, but I've got it fed through, but I'm not going to ratchet it up because I can only go probably 6 inches or something like that. So I've got it looped through. So what I'm going to do is take the other end of the strap and then try and lift it up by hand as I try and lift this little stud wall into position. It's a bit sketchy, I'd have to say, but yeah, I think it'll work. We'll see how we go. All right, so I've got to start lifting it. See how we go. But I've got to hold on to the weight. I can't let the weight go. Okay. It's a little bit off centre, that's why it's dipping down like that. But we'll see. So I'm just going to get up on my ladder now and see how I go while I'm still holding it. And lifting it. A bit hard to lift it. Okay. Inch by inch maybe. It's a bit hard when you work by yourself to try and work out how to, best way of doing things, but anyway. Oh yeah, sort of got it on, not completely. Right, so now I've just got to slide it along a bit like that and come up a bit, and then I've got to tilt it forward and put it over a bolt that's in the way here. And I think that's about it. So I've got my timber stud wall here, and I've just positioned it that it's underneath this big heavy C-section piece of steel here that runs across and holds my roof up. And my plan is to drill a hole through here and put a long bolt, a nut and a washer that's going to clamp that two together. So that's going to give me 2 two benefits. It's going to obviously stop this stud wall wanting to sort of fall away from the side of my shed, which is obviously important. And it's also going to transfer some of the loading of the weight of the timber I'm going to put on this wall. It's going to take the loading back up onto this steel beam here, and that's going to help me a little bit more. So put a hole through here. Okay. I've put all the bolts in along the top of that wall there, and now I'm just going to look at giving some support down the bottom here. So what I'm going to do is on the bottom of this stud wall is I'm going to use some of these long self-drilling metal screws, and I'm just going to go through the timber and put it into this steel here. Just like that. Okay, I've just been finishing up some of the wiring that's going to go behind my wall here. So I had to take out my power cord that's in here when I put the stud wall in, and I've just rerun that now behind that wall. And this side comes out down the bottom here. It'll go to a power wall plate that's going to be connected on there. I'm just thinking about this wall here, and I don't think I need any power up there at all to do anything, so I think I'll just cover that with the plywood and put the recycled pallet timber on there. The other side is a little bit more complicated, because over on this wall is where I'm going to be putting my 65-inch television up here, and I've just been looking at some of the wiring and stuff I need to put in there as well. I'll just quickly show you what that is. And if I come up here, what I've got here is the blue cable you can see there is just a digital TV aerial cable that'll go outside to an external aerial. This grey one is a Cat6 connector. I'm going to run that back to a routing box here in the shed, and then that'll eventually go outside and be connected up to a receiver that'll also be on the TV aerial. And then I've just got a white power cord here which will power the TV. This black thing you can see is the mount that the TV is going to click into. I'm just making sure that when I put this on the wall that I can pick up two studs here and make sure that I can get the screws nice and solid in there, so there's no chance of the TV falling off the wall. And just briefly, as he's moving the ladder, just move the ladder across here. Over on this side here is a big spool of Cat6 cable. So this will go out to the external aerial where the receiver for the Wi-Fi is. So this will bring Wi-Fi into the shed. This Cat6 cable here runs back down through the wall and comes back down to the back of the TV, so I can wire the TV into the internet as well. And up here will be a distribution box, and then I'll put a Wi-Fi transmitter expander thing up here somewhere. So I'm pretty sure that I've got all my cabling in the wall that I'm going to need now, that I can start actually covering this over with plywood, and then I'll just put a little hole in the plywood to have these cables where they can come out. I think what I'll do now is, while I'm doing cabling, is get on the other end of these cables outside and put up my mast and my TV antenna. Now for the aerial, or the TV aerial, I'm just reusing my aerial that I've had on about 4 or 5 different sheds over the years, and I just seem to keep dragging it around. It still works all right. It's got a few missing pieces off it, but it still works okay. And I'm lucky here because the TV transmitter tower is not so far away from me, and it's direct line of sight. I can see it from here, and I don't need a booster or anything, so I'm sure that this will be good enough for what it is. I'll just swing this out of the way for the minute. The other thing I'm going to put on this little mast here is this thing here, and this is a receptor, if you like, for my Wi-Fi that's been transmitted from the house, which is over there. And Benny, my son, has set this up for me, and so this is a receiver. This will pick up the Wi-Fi from the house. It'll connect from a Cat6 cable back down inside to a distribution router inside, and that'll mean I'll have Wi-Fi inside my shed, and Wi-Fi should also work on my TV. Okay, so that's what we finished up with. That's the aerial there, bolted on the front, and my Wi-Fi receiver on the back, and all the cabling run back inside. So that's all good, I think. Well, I've got all my plywood sheets on the wall, and as you saw in that video just then, I used my braid nailer to quickly tack them on, but I'm going to use extra screws here to put them into the studs to make sure that all of this timber isn't going to want to fall off the wall. Okay, well, finally, it's time to start putting the pallet timber on the wall. And what I've done is I've pulled it out and put it into piles here, just depending on the width of the boards, just so I can get an idea of which boards I have a lot of and which boards I only have a few of. So my plan is that I don't really have a plan. I'm just going to sort of wing it and start putting it up and sort of see how it goes. I'm going to be putting these boards onto my plywood backing just with some small braid nails. Now, some of you watching this video may be asking a question on why did I actually put this plywood sheeting on here? Why not just put the pallet timber directly onto the stud walls that I built? And my reasoning is that if I just had stud walls here, then all the noggins that would run across between the studs would mean all of my joins for the pallet timber would sort of be in the same line, if that makes sense, which I don't want. The benefit of having these plywood sheets on the wall is that I can start and stop my pallet timber at any point. So if I have a little offcut here, I can put it here and then run another board and join it. I'm not limited to trying to find where the stud frame or the noggins are behind the wall. And I think that's going to reduce the waste a lot more. It means that my pallet timber is going to cover a bigger area, and I've measured this, and approximation, it's about 12.5 square meters of area that I have to cover. And I'm thinking, using this method of putting the plywood on first, that it's going to reduce the waste and it's also going to make the look a little bit better. Now I've just put a few of these boards up to start, and a couple of things I've noticed is, although you think they're the same width as maybe the one underneath, they could be slightly wider, and I'm going to end up now with just a few gaps sometimes where the boards are, but I think that's all part of the effect. I'm not going to worry about it too much. And the other thing I've noticed, let me just get this on there. The other thing I've noticed is that a lot of the timber isn't straight. It's got a slight warp to it, and the longer the board, sometimes the more the bend in it. And I guess that's because it's had a hard life. It's been living outside for a long time, and you know, it's never going to be really straight. So I'm trying to pick the straighter, flatter edge boards, but we'll just sort of see how we go, I think. Just come back a little bit and show you what the effect is like. So what I'm trying to do is get different size boards in far as width, and also different colours, so I can have a light here, a dark here, a lighter here, a darker here, just to sort of mix it up. But I think that's the effect I'm looking for, so I'm quite happy with how it's going so far. Okay, I've just been pushing on with it and getting along this wall. I've got a little bit left there to do, but no, I'm really happy with how it's going. I've gone past where the TV is here. They're just the cables that are coming out of the wall for the TV. But no, I'm happy with that. And my supplies of timber is going okay. I've still got quite a lot here to get through yet. And that's all looking good. All right, I think what I'll do is just to do the end bit up the end of this wall here, I think I'll put you on time lapse and you can have a look. Well, there we are. I've managed to finish that wall. It took a while to do it. It was many times up and down the ladder and cutting the timber, but I'm over the moon with the look of it. That's exactly what I wanted it to look like. And I've got the rest of it to do up the other end here, but I'll wait till tomorrow to do that. I'm a bit knackered after going up and down the ladder all those times, but very happy indeed. Okay, welcome back. It's the next day now, and I've just been doing this section along here. My supply is getting a little bit low now. I have got a little bit more timber, but I might have to go and break up some more pallets to finish this wall off. But anyway, I'm just going to take a bit of a break from putting these on. And one thing I noticed last night is at the beginning of the video I showed you this photograph of what I was trying to create, and you'll notice that in this photograph you can see that the pallet timber is actually running horizontal. It's running across the wall, and you can see down the bottom of the photo there that they've marked on the ground with the blue tape where the studs are. So that's why they've done it in a horizontal pattern, but what I've the look of is because the ribs here, if you like, in the corrugated iron run up and down, I wanted the timber to go the same way. So that's why I've put mine up that way. Now I've got a fellow YouTuber, Marty, is coming to visit me tomorrow, and I want him to help me mount this TV up on the wall. So this is actually going up here. And before I put the TV on the wall, I've been thinking overnight about, do I want to put an oil into this timber? And I'm going to try just a sample to see what it looks like. And I'm just going to use just a natural linseed oil, and I think it might just richen it up and give it a nice sort of finish off. So if that's the case, if I am going to use it, I want to try and get this wall done this afternoon and get the linseed oil onto it so I can get my TV mounted up here tomorrow morning. And this is what I've managed to pick up at the hardware store. And this is just a timber oil, 100% natural linseed oil, timber sealer and protector. It looks a bit dark in the model, so I am a little bit concerned that it's going to turn the timber too dark, but we'll just mix up a little sample pot and see. And with this stuff, you have to mix it in a 1-to-1 ratio with some mineral turpentine. So I'll just put a little bit in my container here and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, I've got just a selection of some offcuts here. So there's some redder timber, some weathered timber, some sort of yellow timber. So let's just see what this looks like on this sort of stuff here. And I don't really want something that's going to darken the finish particularly. I just want something that's going to just bring out that wood effect a bit more. So yeah, I think that's good. I think that's quite nice. Looks particularly nice on this redder timber, doesn't it? Yeah, I think that'll be fine. Okay, well, I guess this is the point of no return. We'll put it on and see how we go. It's very thin, but it'll be good, I think. Yeah, it just gives it a bit of, I don't know how well you can see that on the video, but it gives it quite a nice, just brings the colour of the wood out a little bit more. So this is linseed oil and mixed with 50% mineral turpentine. Right, I'll just get on and do this, and then I'll get you back and we'll have another look when I've done a fair bit of the wall. I've just finished putting my linseed oil treatment on this wall here, and I'm pretty happy with the result. It's just tended to make the timber a little bit richer in colour. It's retained that sort of natural matte finish to it. It doesn't really have a shine on it, which is what I wanted. And if you stand back and look at it, you can't really tell that it's got much of a treatment on it at all. I'll just show you this side over here is the other panel, and that hasn't been treated yet. And it doesn't look a lot different. So that's great. The next job, moving on now, is I just want to bolt in my mount here that the TV is going to sit into. Well, we did actually get the TV onto the wall. Marty turned up and gave me a hand to put this onto the mount, and unfortunately we spent too much time talking and reminiscing, and I forgot to actually film the whole process, but it wasn't such a great drama. We put it on the mount that was screwed onto the wall there. It's nice and solid, and got all the connections in place behind it, so that's all good. Now, one of the items I want to put on my new timber wall is this neon sign that I've had for, I think, probably 5 or 6 years now. I actually bought it from a auction house from a motor museum, and I thought it was old when I bought it, but it's actually a sort of a new reproduction item. But it looks good when it's lit up, and I'm going to put that up on my wall up here, I think. And I've just been debating on, well, where do I actually put it on the wall? And I think I'm actually going to put it where this steel column is here. Up there somewhere, I think, is where I want to put it. It's sort of in the middle of the shed, and I think it'll sort of be a nice highlight there. Now, I've just pulled the back of it off, and this is the back of the sign, and the holes that are there are too far apart to fit where I want to put it. So I'm just measured up some positions for some new holes, and on the back of this cover it's fiberglass, but there is a looks like a bit of timber or something that's moulded in here. So I'm just going to put some new holes in here, and we'll put this up as well. She's a bit bent. I just had my son Ben drop by, and he helped me to configure the internet connection for my big TV here. So now all that's sorted, and I can now watch 4K YouTube video in the garage, which is great. I've finished putting up my Paragon gasoline neon sign. I'm happy with that, it looks great up there. And I also dug out one of my old Coca-Cola original signs that I have in my collection, and I put it on the wall here because I think longer term I'm going to park the Coca-Cola mini moke that I have underneath here, so that'll sort of tie in with that quite nicely. I'm really happy with the effect of the timber on the walls. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you like the look? Would you change it? Would you run the boards horizontally and not vertically? Interested to know what people think. I do like the look of having the linseed oil rubbed into the boards. It certainly makes them a little bit richer and warmth in colour. I haven't decided what exactly I'm going to do on this transition point here yet. I think I'm going to put a big wide board here and make sort of like a shelf that I can put some more of my collectibles that I have. I can bring them out and put them on display. But I'm more than happy with what I've managed to get done. It's taken me probably 2 or 3 days to do this. I've still got to do the other side, of course, but at least I think I know a little bit on how to do it, and I can probably do it a little bit quicker next time. I've also dug out some of my collectible oil cans, and I'm just going to now put those on display here so they can be seen, whereas before I just had them all stacked up upstairs and were out of sight, and yeah, I think it's better to actually have them on display. Okay, well, I think that's today's video, everybody. I do appreciate everybody watching the video and subscribing to the channel. Please give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Stay safe, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.